Hey, what's up, everybody? Soundly here, and I'm here with my friend Mr. Crier05, and I actually have Crier03 in the audio chat as well.
Hey,
Say
bud.
hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
So, what we have here today is the blender, and hey, I'm taking suggestions on better names, but I think it's a pretty good one because it's exactly what it is. It's a mob blender. And it's basically the latest and greatest industrial strength Trident killer for Bedrock 1.13, hopefully and above. Let me get off of this screen here. There we go. And I'm going to be explaining this to you, Crier, since I've been working on this a lot, as you can tell right here. I have been working a lot on this, and I have a bunch of different versions and a different styles or whatever of Trident killer, because it's a 3x2 Trident killer, and I've been experimenting with how that's actually going to work. But essentially, I have figured out a mechanic that does pretty good. It prevents mobs from getting stuck and pretty much just wipes them out and drops everything 100% into this output stream right here, and I've got the output stream split up between items and XP. XP comes down here, items go up top. But anyway, what do you think, Ryer?
Looks good, man.
It's a beast, right?
Looks good. So far, so good. And you're calling it the blender, so if Ninja food processors gets a hold of this and they want to sponsor
Yeah, Ninja, I hope you're listening.
yeah, we'll put our number in the comments. Give us a shout.
So, anyway, I guess I'll just start from the obvious things. A little water pool up top here. No water in it at the moment. But the Trident killer's down at the bottom. I'm going to turn it off actually for a second so that we can actually look at this thing. And I'll tell you some of the reasons or some of the decisions that I've made too, why I did it. Actually, I used to come in from the side here, but Crier's made it all look pretty, so there's no hole anymore. So we'll come in from the top.
Oops.
That's all right. So anyway, we have this magma tube. Why do we have the magma tube? Because Crier found out that if you make a tube out of magma, spiders won't crawl it for some reason. Don't know why. Maybe it's meant to be that way. It seems like it is, but the spiders will not crawl this thing, which is great. I mean, they'll try every once in a while. Whenever they stack up, one or two of them will try and crawl it. They'll get to the top, fall straight back down. So definitely making the interior surface out of magma is a plus if you want to kill spiders. It's a 3x2 because that's exactly what we're trying to do, is kill spiders, but we also want to kill everything else, obviously. You'll see right here too that there are two panes of glass sitting right here in these two blocks. And those two panes of glass are basically the thing that makes this just shred through mobs. It moves this trident around, and you'll see it whenever it's moving in a second, but it moves it around in a square right here, and it just mobs just get shredded. Also, you can start off like what we're doing here. Crier threw a trident right there, and I threw one right there. You can start off with tridents right there, and they will start off on the outsides, but of course once the mobs start hitting it, they inch their way closer and closer to the center of this glass pane. Eventually they just kind of get stuck on this glass pane right in the center, which they're still good, obviously. This right here is the iron bars. You can also use glass panes right here. They're pretty much the same exact hitbox. That is way brighter. Nice.
You're welcome.
So these iron bars right here allow the drops and the XP to fall through, and this glass pane will push it in. I used to use water. I was experimenting with waterlogging these pistons to push the drops, and it was working. But the problem was that some mobs would kind of bounce around in the water. They didn't die reliably. With this glass pane, everything gets pushed in by the glass pane, and there's no water. So like even witches just get shredded in this thing, which usually they're just a pain in the butt to kill. Yeah, anyway, so that's basically the gist of it, a 3x2. Let's go to the outside of it and check it out. So I'm just powering them with these repeaters. I'm powering this bottom block with the repeaters, and you'll notice that the ones where there's 3 pistons, the sides where there's 3 pistons, I'll only use the bottom pistons. And the side where there is 2 pistons, I use the bottom pistons and the top pistons. These are sticky pistons that are pushing the solid blocks to basically push mobs around, so they're not getting stuck. You know, a lot of times they want to get stuck like in a little pattern, even if they're not technically stuck in blocks or anything. They kind of get stuck in a rhythm. So just to kind of get them out of that rhythm, we put those blocks up top, pushes them back to the center towards the pistons. It's working really, really well, and you'll recognize this if you've ever made a clock, a redstone clock. You'll recognize this kind of circle of repeaters in redstone. But instead of using that type of clock, I've hooked it up to this hopper clock, which has, I think, 2 items in it. Is that right? 2? Let me see how many items it is again, because this is actually important. There's 3 items. You can't go below 3 items. For some reason, the timing gets off, and it pistons start getting pushed out, or the glass starts getting pushed into the pistons the wrong way. So 3 items or more, basically. But 3 items is pretty good. It's as fast as I can get it going. There's probably a way to optimize it, make it a little better. I'm sure there's many improvements that can be made, but this is the industrial strength version, just get it done type machine. And so let's look at this bottom thing. We've got another hopper clock right here that has 25 items in it. That's how long it takes for mobs to smother. 25 items. So what we have going on over here is we have this piston wall. These are all sticky pistons. It's 8 tall, so 8 by 3, 24. It's a little expensive, but we make this piston wall, and basically what happens is these little baby mobs, like the baby pigmen or the baby zombies, will fall through those iron bars, and they'll fall into this area down here. So we have this little smother chamber just to cover our player's butt so that our player can AFK and not get killed. And then the output's also interesting. Turns out that items float and XP sinks. So right here we have a column of water sources, and it has to be water sources, by the way. Just use some kelp, build up to the top, and they all turn to water sources. But you want water sources, and the items will float up to the top. XP will sink down to the bottom, and you have right at the very beginning of your output, you have a split between your XP and your items. I send your items off to storage, and or in some cases you send your items straight to fire. But the XP you can send wherever you want. Just bring it back up to your player in a bubble column or wherever your player is going to be AFK in, because I'm imagining this is going to be fed from a mob farm, a gold farm, a mob spawner. That's actually what motivated me to actually make this. Is on our realm we have 2 mob spawners side by side, 1 zombie, 1 spiders, and I tried to go with a 2x2 Trident killer, and for some reason I had in my mind that 2x2 Trident killers were working with spiders, and I was wrong. They work with the cave spiders, which I didn't realize at the time, but the cave spiders are way smaller than the regular spiders. So in order to kill the regular spiders, we made this 3x2, and it does blend some mobs. So let's actually turn this thing on and give it a look. All right, Trident killer is on. Should we throw some water down? I guess I don't need water right now. I just really don't need it at all, to be honest. We can do whatever we want with it. But here we go. You can see, hey, will you throw one of those sea lanterns again? Right here?
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir. So you can see right here, this is how the Tridents start off. They start off spread out like that, which is great because sometimes you'll get 3 strikes on one little cycle. But eventually they all end up in the center of that glass pane. So unless you're going to be constantly throwing Tridents, it won't end up in this situation all the time. But you can kind of see how the design works right here. Obviously the mobs will be pushed around along with the Tridents and the Trident and that glass pane, but that glass pane is the secret. All right, and that really chews these guys up. It just forces the mobs to bounce around and get hit by those Tridents way more often, and it also moves the Trident around in this big circle like this, which is great. So, yeah, let's give it a go. Throw some pigmen in there. Yeah, pigmen. Easily killed. And here's a spider. So this is the whole reason we made the machine. And he died really quick. Let's do another one. There we go. Sometimes they get stuck on that glass pane if it's just one of them. So all like that last mob, and that's what I wanted to show you. The last mob sometimes gets stuck on that glass pane, but if you just let them be, they'll eventually fall and die like that one did. Zombie. Yep, easy. Ravager. This guy takes a lot more hits, but he will eventually end up dying as well. And he's actually stuck on top of the glass pane at the moment, but eventually they end up falling off. And when they do, boom, they die pretty quick. Let's give him a second. He's got a lot more health, obviously. There, but he died really quick once he started getting hit. Cave spider's easy. Pillager, no problem. Creeper, of course. Now, the witches are always a pain, but they also get shredded pretty easily in this machine. They want to start drinking that health potion, but they still get shredded. But the cool thing about this machine is you can do something like this, or like this, or like this, or even, hey, let's just fill it up with ravagers. Why not, you know? Let's just throw these guys in there. Let's throw these zombies in there. And eventually what ends up happening is these guys just get chewed up. And they don't leak through. They don't glitch out. I mean, it's just very, very reliable. And it's very, very fast compared to other Trident killers, which sometimes they can get stuck. It's very reliable for AFKing. Because, you know, you're not going to have any problems with iron golems standing on top of the pistons or spiders not working or anything like that. Your mob farm will chew these guys up. I just threw an iron golem in there. So, look, everything I just threw in there a second ago is gone. I mean, all those ravagers are gone. All the spiders, all the witches just roasted. And there's an iron golem that just got roasted as well. So, this thing is definitely badass. And these guys weren't even taking fall damage really when you think about it, because I was just coming down here and just dropping them in there. But I mean, these things just roast through mobs, just blends them. It's just like a blender. It's the samurai blender. I need a better name.
The ninja, I'm telling you.
The ninja.
Right here.
It's the ninja blender. But yeah, this works really, really well. And the cool thing about it is because we're using the iron bars down there, all of the drops come out, and basically, you know, you can do whatever you want with them at this point. Once the drops are out here, you can build a whole AFK area over here that is just completely safe, completely closed in. Bring the XP up to yourself. Send the drops off to storage. Never ever have to worry about mobs sneaking you. No sneak attacks.
So Sally,
very safe.
Highlight a little bit on this because you said it separates, but I don't think you actually showed this platform here, did you? Where everything comes out and the XP sinks and the items float. Yeah,
so the smother chamber is getting in the way, right? So all the drops are trying to fall on top of this smother chamber. Once the smother chamber opens, all the drops drop straight down into this water stream. And there's a stair on the very back that's pushing water. So the stair, like the water source never gets killed because it's sitting on top of the stair that's outside of the smother chamber. And so that stair water pushes the drops underneath this half slab right here. And I have packed ice down there, so it slides across that one block. Then I have another water source right here that feeds it. The same thing right here, same exact type of design. This is pretty common design. And then it goes into this water stream and that water column. And that water column is just simply source blocks. That's all it is. Like basically you can just go in there and take a bucket of water and stick it on each block. And that's all you're looking at there. It's just source blocks of water. And when you have a column of source blocks like that, it's just like the ocean over here. If you throw a bunch of items into the ocean, they eventually float back up to the surface. but XP doesn't. XP sinks, and so that's what I'm using that. I'm using that mechanic, that XP sinks and items float, to separate them right here, which is great because now you can just send your items off to storage right away, and then you can take your XP and send it wherever you want.
I like it.
Generally to some AFK location with the user. And you can see all the items are now floating back to the top over here. These eggs are thrown in the water.
You know, obviously it's overkill for a single mob spawner, but the problem that we had in our realm was, like you said earlier, we found multiple mob spawners close enough to get multiple mobs, and we were having a lot of trouble with the original Trident design. So this is a really good design. Yeah,
the other thing about the realm is that you're almost trying to hunt for mob spawners because, and there's a lot of them really everywhere, but you're almost trying to hunt for mob spawners because as soon as you get 2 villager halls set up and you have multiple people online that are sitting around these villager halls, they're taking up the mob cap just by being around villagers, and cows and chicken and whatever all take up the mob cap, which is really stupid. I don't know why it's set up that way, but the mob cap gets full really quick when you have 10 people on a realm, that especially when they started making these massive farms. So
that was we recently found out that the cows and all the non-hostile mobs take up the mob cap. What is it, 200?
It's 200, yeah. And so you have a hall. I have 2 halls. Phantom has a hall. I mean, I think between us we have over 100 villagers right there.
I've got cows.
Oh, and Castle Crier has a hall, and then we also have a hall at Soundley Farm. So I mean, we're easily hitting the mob cap just between ourselves. If anybody's like actually using our halls at that time, it's like that done, So the spawners are awesome because the spawners keep spawning. So you basically, with realms, you start hunting these spawners so that you can create XP mending stations and farms and stuff like that. And the problem is that whenever you're in the caves, it seems like 1 out of every 3 of those spawners is a spider spawner. And the spider spawners just don't work. I mean, and the 2x2s just don't work with the spider spawners. So that's what this is supposed to fix. Of course, it is a beast of a machine. It has 2 hopper clocks going on it. It has a smother chamber. It has a 20 block drop. So, I mean, that's a lot to fit underground. But it's possible. I mean, there are some spawners that are high like that. But probably what would end up happening is this drop. You'd have to get rid of this drop chamber right here. Make it shorter. Make it a shorter drop. Which I don't really think would be a problem, to be honest, with this Trident killer. Yeah, sure, it'd be a little bit slower, but you're only talking about, at that point, 2 spawners. You're not talking about, I mean, you saw what I just threw in there, dude. I threw something in there that would never happen in a real game. And, I threw basically 5 raids and 16 witch huts and 15 spawners all at the same time. Yeah. And it just chews through them really, really, really quickly. Get in there. Come on, go home. You want to go home, don't you? There you go. It just chews through these mobs. It's really, really good. And that's just the, even just the 1 Trident would just mow them down really quickly. And then with the magma tube here, the spiders won't crawl up. So it's just, overall, it's just a really awesome design that will definitely suit our realm very well, especially as I have plans to start creating mending stations everywhere and basically going on spawner hunts and finding good locations for mending stations.
You want to drop some water in here for the end of the video to just kind of show them how it all works right here?
Sure. I mean, it's just a typical flush pool. Actually, there's some really good designs that I saw from the old guy, where he's just dropping mobs straight off their spawn location directly into the the drop. Have you seen his new raid farm video?
No, I haven't.
It's pretty awesome. He somehow manipulates the game mechanic where I mean, you'll have to watch the video, but he somehow manipulates the game mechanic where the raid spawns for a village, but then it automatically gets pushed outside of the village's range, and so the raid bar goes to 0, and then the mobs fall back into the Trident killer after the raid bar goes to 0. So they get killed after the fact. They actually get killed after the raid bar clears. So you know how it takes a little bit of time for the raid bar to reload.
Yeah, so he can just keep going right away.
Yeah, basically he clears the raid bar, and then the mobs drop down and get killed, and they're getting killed while the next raid is or next part of the raid, next part of the wave is actually spawning in. It's crazy. So it's so fast. So yeah, that's obviously another option is to use those instant death or insta fall designs.
Yeah, and shout out to him. What's his handle? Is it the old guy?
The old guy, yeah.
Yeah, the old guy. He's
awesome
been
channel.
very helpful and really responsive.
Yeah, he's really done some cool stuff with Bedrock. So I mean, it's definitely go check out his videos, and he's really cool to chat with online. So thanks, old guy. Appreciate your help.
Yeah, thanks, bud.
All right, I think that's pretty much it. So here it is, the blender. And I'm not going to do a step-by-step tutorial. Why? Because I think people know how to look at this and take the principles out of it and apply it themselves. If you want a step-by-step tutorial, if you really want a step-by-step tutorial, let me know and I can rebuild it on the spot. But I think
you should set a.
I think most people get it.
You get so many likes. We'll do a step-by-step.
There we go. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.